Sup?
My heart goes out to everyone who every time that we or I on my individual, I don't know if you've had this experience, Instagram or whatever, talk about these books and are like, "Oh, we're reading the Hathaways." And I've had multiple people be like, "Oh my gosh, I love these books. Oh, I love them so much." My heart goes out to you listening to these episodes. I can't speak for the latter books in the series, but the first two, I mean, if you listen to Mine Till Midnight, you know, it was just us being like, "Meh," and this one is also going to be
Yeah.
us being like, "Meh." So you might want to skip this if you're like somebody
I
who, when you love a book, you can't listen to
yeah.
somebody be like, it wasn't great.
I had parts that I really liked, and then there was a part in the middle where I was like, "What?" I was like, 2 stars, and then I, like, mellowed out.
What part in the middle made you think you were going to give it 2 stars?
I just didn't like the whole Harrow weird-ass doctor
Oh,
thing.
you wouldn't. That's not a thing that
No,
bothers me, but you get really mad about
I
things like
wouldn't.
that.
No, I didn't. But it actually resolved in a way that I didn't mind, so I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. I rounded down to 3 because, like, I think in another book, if it wasn't Lisa Kleypas, it would be a 3-star, like, I would round
Mhm.
down, so I enjoyed actually more than I thought I was going to,
Hmm.
um, but still, I don't know if I'd need to go. I probably would go back, I guess, with a series read, but, like, I wouldn't just pick it up on a random Tuesday and be like, "That's the comfort read I'm gonna go."
Sure. If you,
You
for
know,
some
spend my
reason,
night
didn't
with.
look at the like title of this
Yeah,
episode or
look at
anything,
us.
we're discussing "Seduce Me at Sunrise" by Lisa Kleypas as part of
Yes,
our
we are.
Hathaway's read along,
It
and
is
we will
book
be, of
2.
course, talking about spoilers. So if you don't want
Mhm.
to hear spoilers,
Yeah, because most of the things I have are
yep,
spoiler-ish.
it's all spoilery.
Yeah.
Um, so welcome to Romance Your TBR,
I am Hannah,
and I'm Caroline,
and
and we did not love this book, like,
it
which is so interesting because so many people love these books.
and I mean, already, like, the setup just wasn't my cup of tea, like, I
Oh, it was mine.
that's why I'm, like, surprised I actually enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to because like, from the back, it's like she leaves for this dramatic circumstance, which was really just her health. I don't know why the back made it seem like it was, like, some new occurrence that she had to leave, but it was just for her health. I thought something else worse happened. Um, and then she comes back after, like, 2 years, and he's all hardened, even harder than he was. Um, and then she's got a mysterious suitor who I didn't think needed to exist, but it's fine.
I
Um,
did.
he was just he was, confusing, like, why did he I don't understand why he poisoned his wife, like, why? Why did
Well,
he
we
do
don't
that?
know.
Oh!
Did they ever confirm for sure?
Um,
Like, did he admit to poisoning his wife? I don't
it
remember.
was pretty you were pretty confident
Yeah,
because,
you
like
like know that he did.
yeah, but, like, I didn't get any, like, resolution as to, like, why he did because, like, her
Yeah,
family,
it
like
was kind of random.
and I'm just like, "What?" Because I mean,
I
he
guess we
ended
just needed like prior evidence to prove like, oh, he's done this before, so
yeah,
he must be the one that poisoned Cam.
but I'm like, why would he spend so much time getting her win better? And then, like, because obviously he had some weird like, he's not a I just was very confused as to what.
He was a weird character.
Yeah, because, like, at first I was like, "Does he get his own book?" I was like, "That's kind of a sexy doctor moment." And then no, he didn't because he's in jail. Um, but I just was like, why would he want it to be a marriage in name only, but then, like, poison his last wife, but then work so hard to get Win better, and then, like,
Yeah,
would he
not
then
really sure what his motivation for
yeah, like,
marrying
would he
Win
try to kill
was.
her too? Like, is it, like,
Well,
sadistic? Like,
I don't think he would have killed her. I think,
yeah.
I mean, they did mention he likes like collecting pretty
Things, like, he
things.
seems like a very it got weirdly psychological thriller-y with him, I don't know, you can,
Yeah,
like
these two have both been really interesting as like, because with, I mean, the only most of
yeah,
the Lisa Kleypas I've read have been the Wallflowers and the Ravenels. I think I've only read like
yeah,
Suddenly You is the only non-series Kleypas I've read so far. But
mhm,
in, well, Suddenly You didn't have a villain. Whenever a villain showed up in the other books, Kleypas dealt with the villain. Like,
mhm,
it made sense. We knew what was going on, and then we dealt with him. In
yeah,
some cases, he gets stabbed with some scissors. It's off
as he
page,
should. That
but it
man was bad.
happens. Like, it's off page, but we
Mhm,
still know what happens. The villain is dealt with, which is why, like, Mine Till Midnight, we were both so confused. Like, what
I
happened to Christopher Frost?
I don't
Where did
think
he
he's coming
go?
back. I
I
don't
don't either. But,
We
like,
were
he just runs away, like
and he can go have a successful architecture like, a career, like, he can still go be fine. He was g
well, and if Leo's, like, getting back into architecture,
I mean,
aren't
maybe he'll
they
come back?
gonna run into each other? Like, I'm just confused why the villains are not being dealt with and or their whole like, their motivations are weird, which it just strikes me as odd because so
Yeah.
far with Lisa Kleypas, I mean, she's one of my favorite authors of all time.
Mhm.
So what's going on with these
I know.
villains?
Like,
Makes
I
me wonder.
appreciated the jealousy and,
Oh, I love
like,
the
I
jealousy.
I know why we had to have a hero character, like, for Win to, like, see and for, Kev to just, get, like, very angry and, protective and stuff, and so, like, I liked that aspect, so, like, I didn't overall, like, hate that inclusion. I just it annoyed me when, they got ruined and then he was like, "I'll marry her," and then it just happened, but then it
It
was
was a
over very
lot,
quickly.
but I
So
did love Kev pulling up in the middle of the night. I had to
in
like,
my dreams.
that scene and also it was the end of a chapter, and the thing is that I was, like, going to sleep, and I had set
Yeah,
my little sleep timer for the
yeah,
end of the chapter where I was like, "Okay, it's late. This is the last chapter
yeah.
I'm reading," and then at the end of the chapter, he showed up,
It was a
gagged
great
her,
scene.
tied her
Honest
wrists, and carried her out, and I was like, "Why would I do this to myself? Why is this the last?" And I really need to go to sleep, but, like, I was shaken.
See, that I think propelled it to 3.5.
I mean,
It
that was
didn't
iconic of him.
it didn't overall make me round it to 4, but I was in
He
love
was the
with that, but then I also the other factor was when setting fucking fire, the fact that they
that was
trapped
so iconic.
the fact that they trapped this man in a wardrobe and he's just, like, helpless stuck in a wardrobe after he poisons Cam, meaning to poison Kev, but he accidentally poisons Cam. They lock him in a wardrobe,
Win
and
is
then
for real for this.
she was done with his shit. She just like, douses it in, whatever medieval lighter fluid,
Lantern oil.
lantern oil, and she's like, "Bro, I'm gonna set you on fire if you don't tell us the antidote." And she does. Like,
Well, and even
queen.
like literally everybody he's like, "No, you won't. No, you won't." And Leo's like, "Nah, she won't. Like, I'll go with her bluff." "Oh no,
Yeah.
Win, don't." And then she does. And Leo's like, "What the fuck?"
That in itself, I was like,
Win
"Okay,
said, "I'm not here to play games."
I can't I can't fully discount the book because I loved that scene."
You know what? I respect that. This book is so weird to me because while I
Yeah.
was reading it, I was enjoying it. I mean,
Yeah.
standard caveat, if you didn't listen to the Mine Till Midnight episode, I think you should because we
Just
talked a lot at the
yeah.
beginning about the, like, problematic Romani and, like, the
Mhm.
kind of exoticizing of the Romani characters, and that still holds. I think it
Yes.
actually might be a little bit worse in this one, which is
I
interesting.
really noticed calling him, like, beast, creature,
I
brute,
noticed it too, which is interesting because
hulking.
I did the audiobook and it
Yeah.
was the updated edited version, which again, we will link
Mhm.
the, Lisa Kleypas spreadsheet that you found,
Yes.
of all of the
Changes.
right. If you're interested in, like, which books have been updated and what's been changed, that'll
Mhm.
be in the notes. So this one was updated and which is why, like, I'm more harsh, I think, on these than I would be on, like, the original text from 2007 and 2008,
Yeah.
or, like, a book that was written then or earlier. I would be more like, "Here are the problematic
Mhm.
aspects." It wouldn't necessarily affect my rating. This one, because it was updated in, like, what,
Yeah.
28?
2021.
20
It was, like,
Really? This was
pretty
21?
I think it was pretty recent. Like, I
If
don't
this had
because
been
like, they're
written in
just
2021,
because
we
they're
would be way
just
hard on it.
they're just coming out with, like, I think, Lady Sophia's Lover, like, that's the next audiobook being released.
Mm.
So, like, I I don't we were talking I don't know if she got, like, a sensitivity like, I think she just, like, thought she, like, read through it and she's like, "I think this is bad." Like, I don't know if she like, I don't know what her process
Yeah, I
was,
don't know.
and I think
So there
that's
were
where
things left in that I was like, "This needed to be not necessarily, like" we talked about, like, Christopher Frost uses
yeah,
whatchamacallit,
slur.
yeah, like, harmful, and so it's like, it doesn't bother me when a villain says it
Mhm.
because he's the bad guy. He's
Yeah.
saying, like, "Oh, you're so uncivilized, you're a brute," but we know that, like, this is
There
bad.
there was a
It's a problem when
something
the narration uses it,
and
though.
Leo had
Well, but
I think there
Leo
was
was doing he was also, like, being an antagonist at that point.
no, it was in this one?
Oh, I didn't remember it being in this one.
There was he
There
was
were a
like or
couple of
like
uses of it by the
there
narrator here
there was
that
a time
surprised
when he
me.
was like, "You really want" someone said something about having them in their family. I
Oh, but you read the original
I
text.
did, yeah. So there was something that I marked. Did I mark it or was I like, "Oh, remember that?" She didn't
Well,
remember.
so the original, there was a lot more. This one,
And
it
then,
was just, like, things that should have been updated that I was like, you went through, you edited these things out,
but
so
you didn't
why
do
did
it
this
all.
stay? There was a specific one where, like, they were in bed together, and it said something about him looming over her like some dark creature, and I
Yeah,
was like, "Whoa,
the word
Lisa."
creature was heavily used. Um, and like that's why I don't know because I think book one was more overt in some
Mm,
instances. I think in this one it was a lot of like the characterization of like brutish and
sure.
uncivilized.
Okay, well, just I would give the Mine Till Midnight episode a listen, but
And there's also there's a timestamp. It's like 14:05 or something where our
yeah.
disclaimer starts and that one so you can literally just go that,
'Cause
listen to it.
it's the same here where, like,
Mhm.
we don't know enough about Romani culture to be
No.
able to tell you, like, the specifics, but I can say for sure there's a lot of weird exoticizing and
Mhm.
fetishizing of, like, "Oh, he's so dark, exotic, this creature that's all her," like, that's
Yeah.
weird. That's icky, and it's in the updated version too, which
Which
is
is again like
unfortunate.
maybe those aren't like buzzwords for like
Yeah, if
bad
she just
like
did, like,
language,
Command
but
F
like
and replaced
yeah.
all of the slurs with,
Like
like, ROM.
that's why I don't know
Yeah, I don't know.
the how she went about this. I'm intrigued. I don't know. So, do
Even
what you
besides
will.
all of that, though, just be aware of it,
Mhm. Mhm.
I think. But besides all of that, these are like this is such a weird book to me because I enjoyed it as I was reading it, and then afterward, the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. I was very
Mm.
frustrated with Kev for a lot of this book.
Yes. Well, that's another thing. The whole setup of him just being so reticent to
I mean, I love a, like, pining hero who doesn't
Mhm.
think he's good enough, but he was so hot and cold where he would be, like, really
If
possessive and then be like, "No, get out of here," and then they'd make out, and then
but
he'd be like,
also
"I never wanna see you again." Like,
if he really loved her and listened to what she wanted, then he would have figured it out a lot sooner than
yeah.
he did. It got to a point where you're like, "Dude, if you really cared about her, you"
Right, like, listen to
which is
her.
what Cam had to tell him.
Right.
Like, when he got to that moment and Cam was just like, "What are you doing?"
Like, she's an
Like,
adult
she's
who can make her own decisions.
yes, and she's going to marry him, she's going to have his children, like, she's going to do all this shit without you, and you're gonna have to see it and live with it, and then Kev was like, "Well, okay, well, that's not gonna happen." Um, so, it just took a really long time for him to just,
Yeah.
value her opinion and not baby her or coddle her because like, obviously, the first book, Win is still having lung issues, and she's very fragile, and then this one,
There's also
she's
some kinda odd ableism in this one.
yeah.
That's what that reminded me of.
Where she, like, is now, like, a full, whole person,
Yeah.
like, that kind of language where she couldn't have this life, but now that she's better and she
Yeah,
can do
which,
all
like,
that,
I
like
understand to a certain
yeah.
extent, like, I I mean, she was dealing with, like, a chronic
Mhm.
illness. She couldn't do the things that she wanted to be able to do. There was just kinda
Mhm.
like, there was an odd approach to it at times.
Mhm.
When also, like, the villain, Harrow is a little his whole, like, "You can't have kids. You can't, because I
Well,
said
again,
so, because you're too weak," and she was like, "I think that I can,
that's
because
why
I want them."
I was just very confused about him. I
Yeah,
just
he's a
didn't
weird villain.
I was like, did he not want kids? Was his, like, kind of like a Munchausen I was like, I don't know.
I don't
Like,
know.
it
The
wasn't
plot of
really
this one confused me, the villain confused me,
uh
Kev confused me.
I like yeah, like, there were, like, scenes that stuck out, like the birth scene, the Cam Cam's, um doesn't Amelia give birth?
N
Does she
no?
not?
No,
Uh,
I think she's pregnant at the end of this.
but Cam goes ballistic.
What?
I thought
He's
so.
very happy to learn that she is with child. Did I I like.
Or maybe the epilogue? It was in the epilogue, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, in the epilogue, according to the doctor, it had been the first delivery during which he had more concerns for the expectant father than the mother and infant. So Cam was just losing. No, it wasn't Cam, it was Kev. So it was this was like in the future,
I do
and
remember that Kev was very. I
yeah,
mean,
and
vaguely.
so I liked the epilogue in the sense that like he was like the doctor was just like the birth went fine, like she was great. Kev
Story
was just a
time.
wreck.
We will never let my brother live down the. I have two brothers. Both of them are married, and both of them now have 3 children. Um, the second old the he's the second child of 4 of us. He will never ever live down because we will never let go the fact that he passed out during the birth of his first child. He passed out. He didn't eat, didn't drink, whatever, and passed out, which means
That's
my
Kev.
sister-in-law was having contractions. She was pushing a baby out of her, and there were nurses helping him like lay down and giving him crackers and jello or whatever. And she was like, "Are you okay? Are you," like, checking on him because he had just passed out while she was giving birth. And he hasn't done it since, obviously. He's been great. But every time they have another child, we're like, how are you doing? Did you make it through?
Well, that's what I liked in this epilogue. Like, this man had not slept
Oh yeah.
for all of her labor, and then immediately he was like, "They're good," and he passed out. He just like was asleep. I thought it was really cute. So like I liked the epilogue. I liked her setting fire to the rain. I
That
liked
was really iconic of her.
I
The whole like Cam and Kev, I mean, obviously they were
brother.
brothers. I was a
Yeah,
little like, of course the two
yeah,
remaining characters are brothers, but like it also did make sense.
yeah.
Them secretly being the heirs to a
That
title?
well, and then
Odd.
why did she make his name Caven when she has a character named Derek Craven? Doesn't
Oh,
she?
I didn't. Yes,
Unless it's Lorraine
I
Heath.
didn't remember their last name. I don't know. I listened to the audiobook.
Yeah, so Lisa Kleypas Dreaming of You, Derek Craven. Is there a spell difference, or this may be pronounced Cravan? I don't know how to pronounce it, but I was like, that's very similar, like Caven to Crave. I was like, what are you doing? Um, but yeah, that one was a little like not magic sperm, but magic blood. I don't know. It was just a very like, why do we need to add that part in there? Because then at that point, it's like, okay, then you can marry Win because now you're this heir. So now you can be okay with marrying her because you can give her this status. When like no, it should all just be because you love her and you want her to be happy and she's happy with you. But I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't like really care. I was like, I mean,
Yeah, I
the
didn't
old
either. It
man.
just was like there was just a lot going on.
Well, that yeah, you're like there's already just some random tangents in this book. Um, so yeah, I
Yeah, it was just so because like I love Lisa Kleypas's writing. I really
mhm.
do. And well, you touched on this earlier where you were like, because it's a Lisa Kleypas, it was like you rounded down. And
Yeah,
like I've said the same thing where like
yeah.
if someone else had written this book and it didn't have the
I just wouldn't be as
like the
forgiving. I
Romani
think.
stuff,
Yeah.
well, I think I would have been a little bit. Well, maybe I wouldn't have been more forgiving. I don't know. Mine Till Midnight, I definitely would have been more forgiving ratings wise.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I don't know, because again, this is a weird one where I go back and forth because I'll remember like Win setting the thing on fire and
Yeah,
everything with Leo and the governess, like cat.
that was good. And also, one thing that I was confused we got a lot of Cam, which it makes sense because at that
It's
one point,
Lisa.
Cam gets poisoned. But you got so much of Cam and Amelia, and I was like, cool, they're
I
having
mean,
sex all over, and it is what Lisa does.
yeah, I
Um,
feel like that's pretty standard.
but it did just kind of like make the plot just kind of go like, what? Like the only thing really standing is Kev. He's in the way of everything.
Yeah, which
Um,
was annoying.
yeah,
Um,
they like
well, but
exacerbated that.
but my thing is, I don't know. Sometimes when I think about it, I'm like annoyed, and then other times I'll remember things that I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
So hence the 3-star rating, where I was like, it
yeah.
was fine, it was enjoyable. But as with Mine Till Midnight, because I'm like my rating system is a
Mhm.
nightmare, and it's just entirely based on vibes. I will compare if I read a lot of an author's books.
Yeah.
So, like, with Lisa Kleypas, I'm comparing her books to the other Lisa Kleypas novels that I have read. So, Mine Till Midnight, minus the problematic rep, might have been a 4-star if somebody else had
Mhm.
written it, but because I read so many phenomenal Lisa Kleypas books, I was like, this is nowhere near as good as I know she
Yeah.
can do. Meh.
Yeah.
It was still enjoyable. I had a good time most of the time, except when I was deeply annoyed with Kev.
That's yeah, like, I was annoyed, but then I was, like, placated, like, it was ebbs and flows. I
Yeah.
was, like, here for it, and then I was annoyed because, like,
Yeah.
they get to a certain point, they're making out, and he's like, "I can't do this." I'm like, "Dude, you're already almost inside her.
Mhm.
Like, just we're so
It
close."
was, yeah. Oh my
I
god,
mean,
also, we got an Annabelle and Simon sighting.
yeah. What was with
Plot
that?
twist, I thought Lisa wrote Annabelle and Simon and then forgot about them and said, "Yeah, we'll, like, mention them occasionally. We don't have to see them." Ah, Simon Hunt is here!
And
Surprise.
they were having a ball,
They
right?
were having a ball.
Yeah. Um, I also loved how it was, like, something with Simon, and they were like, "He's big," and Kev was like, "I'm big too." I was like, "Yeah, you are."
Shut up,
Um,
Kev.
but I did love their first scene when she came back.
Oh
And
my god, yes.
he thought she was, a prostitute, and he's just like, "Come in, I could use a woman, I guess." And she was like, "Well, that like, he needs a woman?" Like,
But I do respect him not even looking at her face, just, like, turning her around and shoving her skirt up,
yeah.
and she was like, "Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Alright."
I thought that
And they
was
called him the fuck out.
it was a very fun way to start their love story.
Very Kleypas of her to have
Mhm.
a "I thought you were a sex worker" mistake. Shout out to Suddenly You. What a
And
book.
I guess, tangentially to Someone to Watch Over Me. There's a whole situation there that
Wow.
happens. Suddenly You, that's a good premise. Secret
God.
Baby,
I really enjoyed Suddenly it was
yeah.
that's another, like, early kinda problematic
Yeah.
historical, like,
Well,
but
that one I was just pissed. I was like, "Girl, tell him."
oh, no, I
But
wasn't even that. I just was living for
it was
every
just the premise
every
of that
single
book.
toxic second of that book.
The premise of that one was so fun.
Wild.
That was my favorite Lisa Kleypas for a while because I hadn't read, like,
Also,
a
vague
lot of her
butt
books.
stuff and
They did.
surprise use of raspberries.
Raspberries. Mhm. That was a fun one. So I liked it here. I liked how that happened and how he was put in his place. Winter was a lot more assertive, and I was happy about that than I thought she was gonna be. Um,
Yeah, because in the first book, you get kind of the, like, precursor to,
Well, because Amelia, you get a lot of
Winterborn and
Amelia's opinions of her.
oh, no, I mean, like, in the first book, you can tell they're kind of a precursor to Helen and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Winterborn in the sense that, like, they have a similar, although not the same dynamic,
Mhm.
because, again, they're, like, childhood sweethearts rather than in Cold Hearted Rake, Helen and Reese meet for
Yeah.
the first time, but there's, like, a similar illness factor, um, there's a like, introduction of the relationship,
Mhm.
like and Win is a very Helen-ish character in the first book
Yeah.
because she's so, like, kind of frail
And
but
quiet.
strong at the same time.
Because then you get a lot of her characterization from Amelia's perspective, and, like, obviously that's,
Right,
like, her sister, and so she's like, "Oh, that's so sad that, like, Maripin is just pining for her, and obviously my sister has no urges and, like, no like, she doesn't even know, she is just," and then in this
right,
book, she's
right, Win
got a
is
lot of
not.
depth,
Right.
and it was she was a better character than um I didn't quite know what to expect just with the summary and, like, what was gonna happen. And I like how she was never, like, fooled really by Harrow, like, she never she liked him as a person, I guess, which is fooled, but, like, she was never thinking that she could, like, love him or she always qualified any statement with him by thinking about Kev. And I was like, "Okay, we handled that as well as it could be handled." Um, I was very confused though when Cam just, like, passed out in the field. I was like, "What?" I was like, "He's dying?"
I was living for the drama.
was like, "What?" Because then Amelia was
I figured it
pregnant and
out
then
almost immediately.
mm.
He passed out, and I was like, "Oh, you dumbass, you drank something that was intended for Kev." There's another book I read recently. Oh, it was that, Susanna Craig. Um,
Mm.
I can't remember the name of it. It's something about a rogue.
I know the cover.
It's
Was it
a
the green
gorgeous
one?
cover. Yeah, she's wearing a green dress, and it's kind of an
Mhm.
interesting text. We'll link it. Um, it's the
Yep.
fourth in a series, but it's the only one that I've read. But it was great. I'd like to read the other ones. And there's a lot. There are like multiple. Somebody's trying to kill, I think, the hero. Because there's like a
Mhm.
mystery, and there's like lots of attempted murder, and it's the same situation where they can't figure out. She becomes very ill and like passes out, and
Mm,
it becomes
mhm.
apparent that like she's been poisoned, but they can't figure out how, and it's because she like drank a cup of coffee that had been intended for him.
Yeah, that happened in, Tessa Dare's Do You Wanna Start a Scandal? She gets it's like Nightshade too, or like I think it's Nightshade. It was lovely. He, like, heard the thump of her falling, and he just knew, like, raced up
Of
to her
course he does,
room. Yeah. Of course he does. That
because you
book.
know how you hear a
Mm,
mysterious thump and you go,
mhm.
that's the love of my life hitting the ground.
And it was, and she was poisoned. It was a I mean, that book, there are a lot of twists and turns. That's a fun book. That's a really fun
I
book.
do love the drama of a poisoning. And of
Yes.
course, there's always enough time to save them.
Mhm. And again, this book wasn't really there wasn't really a breakup. Because it was like the dramatic poisoning and or stabbing and or shooting rather than the breakup route that you can take, which I do love. I also loved the fact when Leo was like so because Kev had like nursed Leo and when back to health when they had scarlet fever, and Leo had lost his fiance to scarlet fever, and he was like, "You made me live. You nursed me back to health. But if Win would have died, you had a thing of that poison right next to you, and you were gonna kill yourself, and like you weren't gonna live in this world without her, and you
He said,
made
"You made
me
me
live in
live.
this world without
You
my."
weren't even prepared to do it."
That
Woo!
one hit. That one hit.
Oh, yeah, Leo, like, begging to be let or, like,
Yeah.
allowed to die, rough.
Oh god.
Leo's rough.
I am very
I
excited for
love
his book.
Leo.
I haven't read the back of her name is Penelope. I haven't read the back Poppy?
Poppy.
There's a stretch,
You and
like,
names.
you can get to Poppy. My entire review, this Penelope person.
I've heard Poppy's book is very good. I
That's
can't
good.
remember
I feel like
the
I
blurb.
honestly I think it's gonna be a sleeper, and I have a feeling it's gonna be my favorite just because 'cause I'm not
Mm,
gonna have any expectations, so it's
that's
just gonna,
fair.
like, be there. I don't
I have
know.
high hopes,
Yeah.
unfortunately, because the higher my hopes, the more likely
I
I am to be let
yeah.
down.
I
So
guess because
that's a risk,
I
but
just don't know this girl. I
well,
don't
that's
know.
true. We haven't seen a ton of Poppy. I am most excited, I think, for Leo's book
Yes.
because we know how I
We
feel
know.
about the wastrel.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like a government, and like I have
And they're
loved.
set up
Oh, the
already.
setup is so good.
And her garter, the
Stop it! The
ferret
little
suit,
lacy guard. I was like, "Oh,
when
Miss
they had to chase
March."
when they had to chase the ferret around, that was really funny. And then the ferret and then, Beatrix was like, "Yeah, we want a trial, like, we can't kill this guy because we want a trial because Beatrix wants the ferret to be a character witness."
I
at the
also have high hopes for Beatrix's book.
Yes. We
I
have high
really do.
hopes for the rest of the but I just Poppy, not Penelope. Poppy's book, I just hers is like he's like a working class guy, right? He's like
I don't know.
I read the summary recently, but again, my
I
memory is like a
truly have no
strainer that
idea.
was used as target practice. I everything is out of my head. Um I think he's like a typical Kleypas bootstraps working man. So hopefully he's hot, and hopefully it's good to us in that
Fingers
regard.
crossed, because
Yeah.
it's been interesting.
But her steam has been really good in this series thus far.
That's true.
I was
I mean, Kleypas always surprises me. For some
mhm.
reason, every single time I start a new Lisa
Mhm.
Kleypas book, I forget that I'm always in awe of her sex scenes.
Yeah.
Like, every book is usually about I mean, everybody's, like, spice scale is different. Hers,
Mhm.
I put at a 3 on mine because a 3 is, like,
Mhm.
more than an average traditionally published romance.
Yeah. My spice scale has, like, changed since I
Mhm.
started it. It used to be, like, 1 is, like, nothing, 2 is, like, closed door, 3 is just, like, explicit, but then everything changed. Now it's
Oh, that's
basically,
not
like
even a
no,
little
I
bit
know.
close to mine.
No. So it's, like, now it's, like, 2.5, like, to 2.75. It's, like, maybe there's, like, 1, like, explicit, but, like, it's, like, very, like, I don't know. Because it's, like, if I'm rating it out of stars, like, I approach it like a star rating, not, like, 1 is,
Oh,
like
that's too complicated for me.
yeah. So for me, I this one was like a 3, I think.
See, mine
Um
1 is closed door or, like, there's something, but it's not a full
mhm,
scene. 2 is 1 to 2, probably a little bit like like a standard
mhm,
traditionally published romance, what you would expect there. 3 is like a Kleypas novel where it's a good amount, but it's not over the
mhm.
top. And then 4 is probably somebody like Adriana Herrera, where, like, there's a
Yeah,
lot of sex.
I don't do a lot of 4s, like, I live in, like, the 3
No. I live
range.
in a 2 to 3. 4
Yeah.
is a little bit more, and it might be like a light erotica. 5 is
Mhm.
like erotic romance.
Yeah, I don't tend to read, like, 5 steam level books.
I don't read many.
Adriana Herrera, Lana Ferguson, and maybe Alexis Daria are, like, the 3 I can, like, pull out of my mind for having, like, contemporaries that have gotten to, like, the 4
Mm.
on my spice scale. Um,
I think, like, Real by Kennedy Ryan, actually, I might
mm,
put it a 4.
ooh,
Just because I
ooh,
think the thing that really pushes from a 3 to a 4 is that and it tends to be contemporaries,
mhm,
it tends to be, number 1, more scenes than
mhm.
average, and they go really hard on the dirty talk.
That and I
Like, it's
also
a
like
very
the
explicit scene.
yes, because you get it all like, when you get the Dirty Talking historical, it's like a treat. You're like, "Wow, I won the lottery."
Mhm.
But it's always, like, either maybe one scene out of the bunch or it's, like, very light where there's a lot farther to go. I definitely notice in contemporaries. I actually my one note for this one was that I actually missed a good missionary scene where he was, like, taking charge. Because they had it's like there was one where they were, like, laying down from behind. One, I think she was, like, on top. One was against the wall. But there wasn't, like, a really like, their
I have
first time,
no memory of the Against the Wall.
I think there was one.
When?
I hope.
You're probably right, I just really don't remember.
I mean
Normally, I remember more about books than you.
yeah.
This one was
Well,
fairly
I mean,
forgettable
I
to me.
finished it like, I finished a
I feel like
good
there were actually a couple of missionary scenes. Why am I thinking that?
I don't know. I mean, I read, like, 75% of this morning. Um,
So you would remember better than I mean, you can, like, pull out specific I just feel like the first couple
yeah.
of like, the first time I thought was missionary, and then he
Oh, I
flipped
thought
her
there
to
was
her front,
I thought
but
she
then I feel
was
like they went back to
well, there was
missionary
space
later.
sitting too.
Yeah, but it was another one of those vague things
I
that
know.
Lisa kinda throws in there.
I was like, "Commit to the face sitting. Let's commit." I mean, she committed, like, she was up there, and then maybe there was a missionary and I missed it, but I wanted the closer that we got to the end, I just wanted, like, him on top. I don't know. I was like, "Kev, go for it." And I guess the wall I think there was a wall scene. Um,
I really have no memory of that.
I mean, I could
I have no
whatever
memory of
happened
most
in
of
the
this book.
Alexandra Vasti one that I read last night, they could
That
all be
definitely had
combined.
their first time was in the library.
Yeah, that was good. See, now that book is, like, escaping my memory.
Oh,
Just
that one will not be escaping my memory anytime soon.
ugh, I'm excited for that episode. But I think there was a wall scene. Because with
I mean, I
these,
believe you, I just
they
fully
all
don't remember it.
I, like, gaslight myself into thinking there's not, because, like, I just my history of remembering things is just so shitty. But with, like, this book and Mine Till Midnight, they all happen in, like, the same chunk of the book
Yeah.
because they're all very slow it's, like, slow burn and then,
Slow
like,
burn and then
everything happens.
60% high
Yeah,
density sex scenes,
and
and
so
then
then
plot.
because they're, like, pretty, like, hard sex scenes, like, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "Is she gonna go for it?" And then they go for it again.
Yep.
And so they all kinda, like, blend together. Um,
Yeah.
I there was the I think the From Behind. But I'm also reading um The Duchess Takes a Husband by Harper St. George, and they haven't fully had sex yet, but that could also be influencing my thoughts. I don't quite know.
I mean, I know they do it from behind.
Yeah, because that was a good one. That was a good scene.
I don't
Because
know. I don't know.
honestly, same.
This was
Well,
a weird book.
it was a weird episode because like we're talking about it in like terms of like random plot moments rather than like the book as a whole. Because like what?
Yeah, because I can't like conceptualize it as a whole. I had the same problem with Mine Till Midnight where I finished it and I was like, I don't really like I couldn't explain the plot of this book to someone.
Yeah.
Others I feel like have a and I'm not somebody that needs a heavy external
Mm-hmm.
plot. I'm perfectly happy to have a minimal external plot. But I need like this one was
And
just will they,
well,
won't they, Kev being hot and cold, and then Kev not being hot and cold, but then he was again because she lied, which I understand being
yeah,
upset because she lied, but like you're just doing a lot here.
yeah, and it that
And then there
no
was a poisoning.
that no plot thing does kind of happen when you don't have like a third act breakup. Like a lot of those books are like this isn't necessarily I wouldn't say low angst, but like a lot of those books that I do like, they kind of are just two characters in a room or like in a scene with each other like the entire book, not much happening. So like I definitely value that to an extent.
This was a weird instance of it though.
It was because things were happening, but
Yeah,
you
there was also the plot of the Cam trying to find their family too, which like
yeah,
I
that I cared less about. That's
oh
where I
yeah.
stopped. I stopped the first night that I was reading this at that like chapter where they were going to go off together. I was like, we're going to stop here. So I didn't have to stop at him kidnapping her because I wouldn't have been able to stop. Um yeah, I there was a moment where they ate bread and cheese. It was like grilled cheese basically.
Mhm.
That was good. I was like, I relate. I've got a lot of cheese.
Glad that you noted that because I
I
don't
did.
remember it.
I did note it. I was like, bread and cheese. Because, like, someone on Twitter was like, I love this, but immediately cannot remember any book that's ever eaten bread and cheese.
No,
And I
I
was like,
could never
same.
point to a book to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this one that you like it's
Yeah.
just a thing that
A thing.
happens
So
frequently."
I was, like, very excited to see in the flesh one that was actually eating bread and cheese. And this one, even then, wasn't like a slab of cheese. It was melted cheese. Still
Mhm.
sounded delicious, though.
Oh my god, you know what took me the hell out? I was thinking about the bread and cheese. See, and this is another one of those like, oh, the moment where she sets the wardrobe on
Mm-hmm.
fire. That one's fun. Oh, the moment. So there's moments that I love. Cam showing up at the door of the cottage that he's taken her to with like clothes and food,
And she's just like,
knowing full well where she is, and he's like, "What's up? I brought you some stuff." Everybody kind of lost their minds, and Harrow is being super annoying. So I would recommend being back by nightfall. Everything good here? Are we good? And Kev is like, "Yep, we're good." And he's like, "All right, bye, little sister." And she's like, "Bye, Cam." Like,
thanks for the
thanks for the
rations.
stuff. And then he left.
Yeah.
Like I love, and it's kind of the Devin Ravenel effect, where like I liked
Yeah.
him just fine in his own book.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Marcus too.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, these first, or well, he's not first, but these heroes that you like them more when they show up in other
Yeah.
people's books. Cam is so funny in this
Because
book.
they can just be like happy and love and
Yeah,
sometimes poisoned.
and
Like
sometimes poisoned. He's just like minding his business, helping the chaos that is the Hathaways. He's like, none of y'all know how to live your life. Let me fix
yeah.
things for you.
What was there like I was trying to like the title, like Seduce Me at Sunrise.
Oh,
Was
I don't think
Sunrise?
most of the titles have actually. I mean, strictly speaking, Mine Until Midnight, they did have that like one night
Midnight.
type situation
Yeah.
where like they were gonna do this, but then, well, he was determined they were gonna get married. Amelia was not.
Mm-hmm.
I think these titles are kind of loose. I mean, I could see like I don't really see the Seduce Me, but you do have the element of like he takes her in the night
Yeah.
and then they're like
And
they
they were
spend
like
the
all
night
night and then
together.
they like woke up.
But
Yeah.
I think the titles are more just kind of arbitrary.
Two
Um,
lovers at the break of day. Two
yeah,
podcasters at the break of day because
it
it's
is
11 p.m. and probably light somewhere in the
what?
morning. I don't know. It's
Bro,
11 p.m.
I'm still hungry. That one bowl of soup was not enough.
I kind of want to go smash some cheese. I've got a lot of it.
Cheese sounds really good right now.
Right?
We have,
But I
like, part
need
of a baguette downstairs.
oh, I need a good baguette, like a good, like,
Mhm. Mhm.
crusty bread.
This is a baguette from Trader Joe's,
Mm.
so it's real
I
good.
wanna make bread, but my father and my sister they have celiac, so, like, they can't have
Mhm.
wheat, so, like, we can't be having flour everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
I tried making bread once, it didn't go well. I'm
yeah,
a
we
really good baker, but not bread.
mm, yeast scares me. Um,
It's fair.
we had, like, a really old bread maker one time, and we tried to make gluten-free bread, which we were starting off in, like, the MVPs, like, the big leagues, and we were not there yet, and
To quote Ali Wong, that Chewbacca bread.
it's gotten better over the years. I mean, my sister was born in 2003, and then she was diagnosed, I think, in, like, 2005. My dad was diagnosed in 2005, so, like, he didn't know, but it's genetic, so, like, one of your parents has to have it. So my parents both got tested, and he was the lucky one. But he doesn't even like bread, so it happened to the right one. Like, God. Like, Jersey Mike's, they have, like, gluten-free bread, and he, like and it's, like, good. Like, I could eat it. And he's like, "This is too much bread." I'm like, "What?
Oh.
Excuse
My
me?"
brother, actually the same brother that passed out during his wife's labor, almost died a few months ago
Oh
because
my.
he has some kind of like uh it's not celiac, but it's some kind of like gluten allergy that is
Mm.
only it it only happens when he exercises. So
Oh.
basically he like ate a quesadilla or something, I don't know, something with gluten, and then went to work out and was like running with a
Oh.
guy and then like had an oh it's an allergy because
So it's like an allergic
he went into
reaction.
anaphylactic shock
Oh
and
my
like
god.
almost died, like his throat swelled up and he was like called 911 and a priest, like he thought he was dying, he almost died.
Oh
So
my
he can't
god.
like he has to like not eat gluten, and also if he does somehow ingest gluten they're like you basically just need to not like
Weird.
move
That's
afterward.
odd because like, the celiac, like, it's not like my sister just, like, projectile vomits everywhere
Mm.
for hours. So it's not like anaphylactic, like, it's not like
No, it's
that
not
kind
an
of
allergy,
allergy.
it's just
Yeah, it's like it w it's
well
a
but it
different
yeah, yeah.
presentation. I don't know if people with celiacs, like, if they could have that, like,
I have no idea.
reaction, but my sister's is because like, I mean, she was, like, 2 when she was diagnosed, so, like, she'd only had, like, Cheerios and, like, not a lot of wheat things, so, like, my dad's, it's more mild because he was obviously able to live with it,
Right.
but, like, I have to get like, I can get tested, like, sporadically because like, big life-changing events can trigger it in me. Like,
Mm.
my brother and I, like, giving birth, getting in, like, a major accident, like, life events can just trigger it, and I'm like, "But I
Oh.
love bread." Um, so,
Please
like,
don't.
I know I've, like, tested negative thus far, but since it's in, like, my dad has it, so I'm like, "Oh my god."
Mm.
I don't quite know. Um,
Anyway, but bread and cheese.
bread and cheese, god. There's just something like, it's like watching Ratatouille and watching that mouse make a mushroom that just looks like cheese, and every time I wanna eat it, and it's just, like, such a visceral reaction, and whenever I read bread and cheese.
I think it's my little peasant brain kicking on.
Little peasant brain.
Like, my family way back, ancestry, whatever, is mostly like German and
Yeah,
British,
same.
right? So like,
My
I'm
last name
pretty
means
sure that
barrel maker.
I was genetically or I am genetically predisposed to like I just am built to eat potatoes and bread and cheese. That's what I am.
I mean, my mom's from Wisconsin, so dairy runneth through my veins. I got
Blood,
catcalled.
blood.
I got catcalled in the Twin Cities, and the guy was like, "Damn girl, you're the meat and potatoes," and I was like,
Thank
"What?"
you.
I was like, "What does that mean?" And
You
there's this
know, like you're
that you're the
a
full
hearty
meal.
meal.
I'm a hearty meal. And then, much to my surprise, a popular diner in the Midwest is Perkins.
I
Um,
love Perkins.
they have a meat and potatoes special. So every time I go to Perkins, I'm like, "There's me."
God, there's like no Perkins anywhere near us. I don't even know
Yeah,
if they exist in Texas. I just remember
I
from
don't
when I
know.
lived in Virginia there was a Perkins near us, and I miss it because dear God.
we've got like the Perkins Baker Square rivalry going on here. We've got one of each in town. Both have great honey mustard. I'm a condiment person. Practice safe fooding. And
I hate that. Put $1 in the you pissed me off
the pain,
jar.
the pain jar
Yeah, I
caused you
hurt.
pain. I hurt you.
There was when my grandpa was in a nursing home, there was lots of characters in said nursing home, and one of them that we quote all the time, rest in peace, I assume, because he was very old and it was years ago.
I know.
But it was this very, very old man in the nursing home in a wheelchair, and he would wheel around, and every time we saw him, he would be going, "Help me, I hurt. Help me, I hurt." And I think he just wanted more pain meds, which I respect, but we say that all the
Help!
time.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except
Help me, I
just
hurt.
constantly, "Help me, I hurt." It's our go-to when we're in pain. And that is the vibe of every time you say something like that.
Cool.
"Help me, I hurt." We need to wrap this because it's
Yeah, we
only
do.
getting more unhinged from here.
And I'm gonna go eat some pepper jack cheese.
Ooh. Bread and cheese.
Bread
Yum,
and
yum,
cheese.
yum.
Yum, yum, yum.
Oh, well, on that note. Sorry, wait. Nah, on that note.
I commend you for being able to hit any note.
And technically, anybody can hit a note.
I mean, I don't know enough about notes.
Any sound you make is a note.
I mean, I guess, but like on purpose.
I couldn't tell you what that note was.
You're not
I
Charlie
don't have
Puth.
perfect pitch.
I don't know.
Okay.
I got called out in elementary school. Every day in music class, every Wednesday, you had to sing at a pitch. You had to sing "I Am Ready Now" to hit a target. So like you had to sing at the pitch, and I hate that woman, that music teacher. I never hit it because I had to go into like a falsetto range, and it sounded horrible. And I have fright of singing "I Am Ready Now" in front of an entire class. The one day that I was gone, my entire class got 100% on the target, and I came back and they're like, "Hey, guess what?" And I was like, "What?" We all got treats in music because we all hit the target because you were gone. And then I saw a TikTok recently, like, people who think they can't sing, was there like a traumatic incident in the past of someone telling you that you can't sing? Yes, that is me. They all got treats and I was gone. I was like, good. I'm not holding you back anymore. So, that's my takeaway on where my life has ended up.
Really depressing note to end this on.
Well, and a less one, if you have an enemy, get a wardrobe, stuff the enemy in the wardrobe.
And then threaten to light them on fire. And then do so.
Threaten to light them on fire.
That's really iconic.
That's a bad bitch move. I was so happy.
I said, don't worry, she's not going to do it. And then Wynn said, try me.
Just the visual.
That's so funny because I actually smell smoke right now.
just her. Maybe it set fire to the wardrobe. That could also. Like, I just
set fire.
Yeah. Adele, she basically wrote that song.
Based on,
or at least Wynn.
On Wynn. Wow.
Yeah. 6 degrees. Really.
Okay, I'm gonna go eat soup and bread and cheese.
Yeah, look at us go. Happy Tuesday. Nope, it's not Tuesday. We're not doing that episode.
Friday.
Happy Friday. And or whatever day you're listening to this. Maybe it is Tuesday. Maybe I'm just clairvoyant.
Ooh,
I know.
spooky.
Have a great life. I don't know.
Because if we're never gonna interact with you again, have a great life.
Just in general, like, I wish you the best. Just have a great life, and we will see you next Friday, or talk to you via your speakers next Friday
or Tuesday. Is there a TBR Tuesday after this?
Oh wait,
whatever. You'll hear from us again.
Yep, it's Tuesday. That's gonna be a Tuesday.
Okay. Bye.